Hi everyone, I'm True Soul, and happy Star Wars Day. That's right guys, I am doing another Star Wars Day, Star Wars Black Series action figure collection, and I got mostly my entire Star Wars Black Series collection here. I try to do one of these at least every year. I've done so for the last 2 years, so I wanted to display them again, but I wanted to switch it up a little bit, so I have a lot of my Star Wars action figures up here on this upper deck part, and I also have some on this lower deck part. So I'm not going to do a total run through like I do every year. I'm just going to mostly show these guys off to you, talk about some of my latest ones that I got for my collection, some of my favorites, some of my least favorites, and probably a lot of Star Wars rambling in between. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Alright guys, so first things first, I want to do a quick overview of the newest Star Wars action figures that I got. I have kind of been slowing down when it comes to collecting Star Wars action figures because for the most part I have all the ones that I really want. There's just like a couple of stragglers here and there. Now you guys probably saw I did a Star Wars Black Series update video, and I had 4 new action figures. One of them being this Mara Jade, who actually has a hinge in the torso, so you can bend her back a lot more, so you get a lot more range of motion out of that figure. So I really like that figure a lot. Also, Aayla Secura, a long-awaited action figure for a lot of fans, including myself, and I really hope to get more Alien Jedi in the future. Also got Wicket down here, cool little figure, and back there you'll see the I believe it's the Star Wars the Jedi Fallen Order Rocket Trooper, which was a GameStop exclusive if I remember correctly. And those are the 4 latest figures that I got in my collection. I have been slowing down, like I said, been getting a lot more Marvel, a lot more Fortnite, which when my Fortnite thing gets big enough I'll do a video kind of like this, but this isn't about Fortnite, this is about Star Wars guys. So guys, I thought it would be fun to go over some of my favorite Star Wars Black Series action figures that I have in my collection, as well as some of my least favorite. So let's go ahead and do favorites. It's really hard to pick a top 10 favorite Star Wars action figures in all of my collection, but I really just went with my gut and really went for action figures that I just enjoy posing, or ones that I like using in stop motions, or just ones with characters that I have, you know, a connection to or been a fan of for a while. And there's a couple on here that you wouldn't really think that I would like, but let's go ahead and get right into it. The first one on my list being Star Killer Base Kylo Ren. I still remember when I got this. I got him from a Kmart. They were having a closing sale because Kmart was dying. So sad. And I got the Star Killer Base Kylo Ren for a pretty cheap price. He was the first Kylo Ren I got. He did have like a little bit of snow on his robe, but I really didn't mind it all too much. And pretty much that was my definitive Kylo Ren for like the longest time. And in a way he still is. I really like posing him, and in some of the earlier days, I don't even know if I still have those stop motions on my channel. I'm pretty sure I do. I had him in quite a bit of stop motions back in the day. So I just have a lot of fond memories playing around with that figure. So he definitely had to be on my list. Also keep in mind this list isn't in any particular order. I just, you know, naming off the ones that I really like. The second one, for a similar reason, is the Episode 9 Rey, which is probably my favorite Rey action figure that I have. I think they did a pretty good job with the overall posability, the skull, the overall outfit's cool. And I also have done a couple of stop motions with that figure, so I really like using that one a lot. Funny how the first 2 ones that I mentioned are sequel figures, which I'm not the biggest sequel fan, but hey, when a figure's good, a figure's good. moving on, another one of my favorites is Count Dooku. Just his overall look, I think they nailed that Count Dooku action figure. So if they ever do re-release it, they're probably not going to be making any updates on it. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, Hasbro has a tendency to re-release stuff but not fix things that are wrong with figures, which I don't really feel like anything's wrong with this figure. Only thing that I would maybe say is probably find a way to take the cape off if some people don't want the cape on there. I've never attempted to try to take the cape off because there's a little piece on the chest that looks like it's supposed to, you know, make it stay there, and I don't want to try to take that off and then not be able to put it back on. But I guess Dooku would look weird anyway if he took it off. But yeah, really like that Dooku. I'm perfectly fine with this Dooku if it's the only Dooku that they ever make. Next one, Jaina Solo. Now I really like this figure a lot because I remember whenever she was a fan vote figure, people voted on her, you know, and they wanted Hasbro to make her. So what they did is, I'm not exactly sure how they went about doing it. It's like they took Han's face and Leia's face and smushed it together, and then that's what you get. So I thought that was a kind of cool concept. On top of that, this is one of the few Legends characters that that we have. There are a lot more Legends characters now compared to what we had back then, because back then it was just like Darth Revan and her. I'm pretty sure there were a couple of others, but for the most part that was it. We're getting more like Knights of the Old Republic stuff and whatnot, and of course Moira Jade that was recently released. But Jaina Solo is one of the OGs, and I've also enjoyed doing some stop motion with her. There's this one stop motion on my channel you guys can go back and find if you want to. Turf War. That was one of the first video I did with Jaina Solo, and so really like that one a lot. Next on my list is the Ceremony Leia. Really like this figure a lot, mostly because I always wanted them to make a Ceremony Leia to go at like Ceremony Luke, but a part of me felt like they wouldn't do it. So it was a nice pleasant surprise whenever they did get around to doing it, and I think they did a pretty good job. The cloth pieces that are on it fit Leia very well, so it doesn't look really like bulky and out of place and stuff like that. Probably my favorite Leia on my show. Second favorite probably being Endor Leia. Alright, let's keep on moving on. Captain Rex, which is probably my most used action figure in different videos that I've done, whether it's like stop motions or sometimes I'll do a little funny thing at the beginning of the video with Rex. This is mostly in my older videos. They're in the archives, so you can check them out. Just a lot of fond memories with Captain Rex. I'm pretty sure, I think Captain Rex was not the first clone that I got. Commander Cody was like the first clone that I got. He was the first prequel character that I got. But I think I kind of enjoyed making videos with Rex a lot more. It would be nice if they re-released Rex with the new arms, so that way you could get a little bit better range of motion out of Captain Rex. But other than that, I'm perfectly fine with the action figure that we have. And next up, these are the next two are ones that I literally just got, which is Aayla Secura, just because highly anticipated figure. I've been waiting for this figure ever since they announced it, and also Aayla Secura has been on my wish list throughout the years, and now we finally have her, so that's really good. And of course, next to that Moira Jade. I also really like the figure, but on top of the fact that she's one of the few Star Wars figures that has a hinge in the torso, that's a real game changer. And I am looking forward to potentially doing some stop motion stuff with her in the future. Alright, next on my list, you guys probably, if you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you probably knew this guy was going to be on there. Episode 2, Anakin. Now, for those of you that don't know, once again, Episode 2 is my favorite Star Wars movie. It is the Star Wars movie I've watched more times than any other Star Wars movie, okay? Don't at me. Don't feel like debating you or anything. Episode 2 is my favorite one, okay? And I was very excited whenever they announced that they were going to be making Episode 2 Anakin. Pretty much rounded up my Attack of the Clones figures. Of course, if they make some more Jedi that were in that movie, I will gladly take them. That was one of the things that made me like Jedi so much. They just had so many of them just running around swinging lightsabers at the end. Anyway, moving on to the last one. This one I also really like. I think he's overall just a really well-made figure. And that is Knight of Ren. Who's also been in a couple of stop motions that I've made. I just really enjoy doing stuff with him. It is sad that he didn't really get to do a whole lot in the movies, but overall the figure is pretty decent and I really like him a lot. That was really hard for me, guys. I was looking at all these different figures that I have, and I like a lot of them for different reasons, but when I think about some of my 10 favorite, those are the 10 that kind of come to mind off the top of my head. But now, guys, I gotta be a little negative. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta talk about my least favorite Star Wars action figures. And sadly, in this case, because usually if there's a Star Wars action figure that I don't really like, I don't buy it in the first place. But literally the only way that I would have a least favorite Star Wars action figure is if it keeps falling over. Now, I'm sure there are some of you Star Wars fans out there, some of you toy collecting fans out there that know what I'm talking about. Biggest one for me for a long time was General Grievous. My General Grievous, and I'm not sure if it's all General Grievouses, but my General Grievous around the leg area, very weak. He would keep falling over all the time. I always have to have him in the back of my display slightly leaning on something or he'll fall over almost every time. Either that or I have to put him in a specific pose where he won't fall over. Sadly, that's just, I don't know if it's with all Star Wars action figures of Grievous or just mine. But yeah, he's not the only one that likes to fall over all the time. There's Baze, for any of you who have him from Rogue One. He likes to fall over a lot, mostly because of that pack on his back. I have to have him in a certain pose or he'll fall over. There's also the Scarif Stormtrooper. He also likes to fall over all the time, which is why I didn't put him up here on the display anywhere, because he likes to fall over all the time. But mostly it's any figures like that are just a pain in the neck to display with everyone else. Those are my least favorite figures. Sadly, in a way, I kind of have to put Darth Maul on that list too. I have the Archive Darth Maul, and I also have the I think it's called the Sith Apprentice Darth Maul. Now the problem with both of these figures is they both have the same legs, where it's like his legs are kind of like spread out a little bit and you can't like tuck them in more. So a lot of the times if I don't have my Archive Darth Maul standing in a neutral position, if I try to, pose him with a little flare, he'll fall over. So that's really annoying, really sad. I eventually want to get a Darth Maul that does not have that problem. And there have been other Darth Mauls that have been released, so I might have to, think about getting one of those. But enough about that. Other than them falling over sometime, I really do like all the action figures that are in my collection. Otherwise, I wouldn't have them. And also, guys, since I gave myself full permission to ramble, I am going to ramble a little bit and talk about something kind of recent that happened in the toy collecting community, and that is the return of Windows on the boxes. Now, for those of you who might not be too familiar with it, Hasbro did say that they were going to be using like less plastic in their action figure packaging. And for those of you who collect Fortnite figures primarily, you're probably already familiar with that, because a lot of it is just cardboard and you can't even really see the figure on the inside. They recently changed that, and they said that they're going back to having the windows, which I guess that is a really good thing, because a lot of collectors that like to keep the toy in the box can actually see the toy that's in there. And of course there's some dummies that go to stores and like take the toy out of the box and put another toy in there. You guys have probably seen photos of that and stuff on social media. But I am glad that the windows are coming back, because it is nice to see the toy. I did know that Hasbro, they apparently wanted to, you know, do away with plastic to be more eco-friendly, I guess. But I don't know. At the end of the day, you gotta do, you know, what's best for, I feel like, the customers. So I am glad that they're coming back. I did hear that they were supposed to be, the windows are supposed to be made out of some other kind of material, not just like your run-of-the-mill plastic. I don't know about all the ins and outs of that, but what's important is that we can see the figure that's in the box. So that's always good, guys. But alright, I'm going to cease rambling and just let you guys enjoy this massive collection that I have for you here. I'm actually recording this before Star Wars Day, but you'll be seeing this on Star Wars Day. So for all you guys, happy Star Wars Day. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and stay updated whenever I plan to upload a video, as well as see exclusive photos like of the Star Wars figures here that you will not see in my videos. Alright guys, until then, be sure to like, subscribe, and may the Force be with you. Catch you later.